What's cracking? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. Today's video, bro, I'm showing off another Mega Master League team. I never thought I'd see the day, but I'm having some of the most fun this season that I've ever had in this game in a long time, and it feels good. Bros and brodettes. I ran Mega Charizard Y and had some really good results. I went 8-2 with this team, and I could have gone even further, but I was really just having fun trying out different Megas. So when I was team building around this Charizard, I knew I needed to have an answer to Palkia / Gyarados / the Kyogre. And so Zacian came as my designated answer for the kind of for the Palkia, but mostly for the Gyarados. And then we're going to have in the back a Dialga Origin. Dialga Origin is so back, dude. This thing has been holding two of the teams that I've played together that got me some of this nice elo gains that I had on the Wednesday stream. And just this team is just, it's just, oh my god, dude, it's so good. Just let the games speak for themselves, dude. Charizard is so good, okay? It's so here. First reason. Beats Primal Groudon pretty well here, even though the CP is not quite as high, and I'm almost by like 2,000 combat power difference, I mean. But we're going to be going for Air Cutter here. You actually win this matchup just going straight Air Cutter. I go for a Blast Burn, I think, in a couple of these matchups, because I didn't know that you could win it going straight Air Cutter. But as far as I'm concerned, if I can see Primal Groudon here on the lead, the worst answer that I'm going to have to my backline is taken care of. And hopefully in the back, maybe they're going to be weak to Zacian. I would often end up seeing things like Palkia behind this, I would imagine, as that's just, it's a very common pick. Now, opponent has a Florges. They're going to be going for some energy, go for the Chilling Waters here, but I'm able to outpace them to the Blast Burn there. It's like 13 Dragon Breaths to a Blast Burn, dude. It's ridiculous. And I make a mistake in this game, I think. Now, I bring in Dialga. No, I'm thinking of my other team. This is fine. Chilling Water is not going to do a lot. The opponent now brings in their Zacian, and the nice thing about Charizard Y is that it resists all of the energy that comes from the Zacian. It's going to be able to resist the close combat, the play rough if they're running it. They're going to be able to resist the Behemoth Blade, even though it does quite a good amount of damage, just about half of Charizard's HP with the Behemoth Blade. But, like, I can whittle away at the Zacian here, and then my Zacian in the back should hopefully be able to clean up if the Charizard's not able to do so. We're going to be going and taking this close combat. The opponent's defenses have dropped. I'm going to try to see if I can't get to an Air Cutter, but instead I'm going to let Charizard soak the energy. The opponent has two moves. Close combat, however, is not quite going to cut it. Opponent tries to drop back into their floor just so we can immediately swap into the Zacian and look to dominate this matchup. Now, what I'm thinking of here is the next game that you're about to see, which this game was me learning from my mistake. Chilling Water gonna do, this is not doing enough, man. The opponent probably looking to make a catch at some point here. I'm just trying to stay vigilant. They're down within range of an Air Cutter, I believe, at this rate. The opponent just gonna let it go, try to invest that shield into their Zacian, but unfortunately for them, we're gonna get to the close combat, and we still have a shield, and Mega Charizard resists those Metal Claws. The opponent knows it's over. They're gonna go ahead and concede. That's a good first game. Well played. Now, back in time a little bit. I will show my losses, but I don't like the first game being a loss because that just feels like a turnoff, man. If I'm watching someone else's content and the first game is a loss, I'm just like, awkward. So, yes, viewer engagement. I'm a YouTuber, gosh darn it, but I'm not going to mislead you. This is the team in which sauced me, okay? This is a Mega Ampharos, and I'm fearing the Focus Blast. The opponent absolutely did the correct thing here and loaded up all the way to the Focus Blast energy before they ended up throwing, which forces a shield, and now I may have to shield again, and I actually decided I'm going to let it go. All this energy on Dialga's gone, but it wasn't worth both my shields, I don't think. So I'm going to bring back in my Charizard here and look to get some energy, and I'm hoping that I can make a difference with this energy because it's just like I'm down a shield, I'm having a bad time right now, and Kyurem's going to come in, and I'm immediately going to at least get my shield back with this Blast Burn, and the opponent is going to rue the day that they were this weak to Zacian. We're swapping in Zacian, looking to get the farm down. The opponent, however, is going to go for the Fusion Flare, and this is where I make my mistake. I should have stayed in and let Charizard just finish what it's going to do. The opponent gets to the Ice Burn. I have a lot of energy on Charizard. I'm perfectly fine with going for one shield here. The opponent, however, gets me down low enough where the Chilling Waters would start to threaten a knockout, and so this is kind of the point where I realized I've messed up. So the opponent's going to be able to get energy as well from that, and I'm not going to have enough energy to be able to get to two moves here, not even close. The opponent's going to go for the Chilling Waters. I'm just going to concede this time by not shielding. Even though the Fairy Winds are resisted here, I'm not getting to the energy I need. The opponent also resets the debuff to make sure that this next Fairy Wind does get the knockout, and Air Cutters ain't going to be enough, especially not after a debuff. So I played that differently afterwards, and paid off, but this was my first game with the team, so it was kind of a bit of a learning curve. But I'm telling you, I'll strap in because the rest are fantastic. They have a Palkia on the lead. I'm immediately switching into the Dialga here to bring out their Fairy, which is a Florges. There could be a Zacian in the back as well. And so either one's fine. I'm glad that I've pulled out the one that's going to do the water damage. The opponent going to shield up first here. Maybe thinking to go for a debuff play, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and let this go regardless. Moonblast is going to do a lot of damage. Florges is still a really good counter to the Dialga anyway. But Iron Heads do add up. 2 of them do threaten a knockout on Dialga. Even after they go for a debuff, I believe 2 just barely KOs with the Dragon Breath damage. The opponent's going to go for the Chilling Water, and that is a bit of a mistake by them. Just go for the full send the Moonblast Trainer. I'm going to make you throw again. So they're going to be going for another charge move here. This Chilling Waters will do enough, and then I can usually come in with Zacian and be fine to farm down here, but I decide, yeah, I'm just going to go. I was thinking about maybe trying to get a cheeky little farm down with Charizard, but it really didn't seem worth it. Opponent's on a Mud Shot Groudon, and they get to the Fire Punch before I throw my close combat. I'm letting this go every day of the week, man. Charizard is my way to victory here, and I'm going to go ahead and try and play to it. I have 2 shields. This is a Mud Shot Groudon. I can do what I need to do here. We're going to be bringing in Charizard, and now we can go for the opponents bringing their Palkia, but we're up 2 shields to 1, and these Air Cutters will start to add up with the Dragon Breath, so I'm going to be looking to get this first one through, and honestly, I could just farm this thing down with 2 shields. The opponent, I mean, yeah, Precipice Blades would probably clock my face off, but I'm going to go ahead and just try to play to saving a shield for the Groudon if I can. If the opponent wants to drop their final shield on this thing, that's fine. I want them to make that decision first. Opponent's going to bring back in the Groudon, and I have to call a bait, I think. That's how I'm going to have to play this. I'm going to be going for this Air Cutter. This will get them down in Dragon Breath downrange. The opponent is going to shield. We do get the attack increase, but I need to make a catch, and thankfully Zacian here to be a meat shield for us as it absorbs this Fire Punch, and the opponent's not going to be able to get to enough energy here, and I know it. I'm going to be going for the cheeky little Blast Burn to try and take this out once and for all. Going to be going for it. Charizard's going into the Primal Groudon with that resisted Blast Burn, but it doesn't matter because it's enough, and we love throwing Blast Burns because we're running Charizard. Good game to the opponent. Well played. All right, Charizard staring down the throat of a Zacian in the next game. This is a really nice lead. Even though we're on Dragon Breath, the Blast Burns threaten a lot of damage, and most opponents will swap out. And actually, what I've seen them swap out to a lot is Palkia. The way I play this out is I throw the Air Cutter immediately, and then I swap to Dialga. This does just enough damage to allow me to take a Spatial Rend and an Aqua Tail, and I can still farm all the way down afterwards. So Charizard's going to do just enough to help tip this matchup in our favor, and the opponent's looking to go for the Spatial Rend, but they're not able to get there. I am aware they would have gotten to an Aqua Tail, but they wanted to go for the full send. They actually also leave more farm for the Zacian. When they throw the Aqua Tail, I'm actually a little bit more pleased with that because that doesn't give the Zacian a ridiculously immense amount of farm that this one's going to get in this game, which kind of makes it scary because my Charizard can only take 1 move, and I need to be able to see if I can get to the next Iron Head. Can Dialga get there? It cannot. Unless the opponent swaps and catches on a Mega Rayquaza, which, goodness gracious, I want to run so bad, but the pacing to Breaking Swipe just makes it so hard to use, man. We have Charizard in the back, ready to deal with the opponent's last Pokemon. Rayquaza is just going to meet our Zacian here. I'm just going to do as much energy farm as I can here before throwing a move at the last second before they might get to a... even if it's a Breaking Swipe, dude, I'm not going to have to sit here and shield that. The opponent, however, drops a shield, and then they bring in their own Zacian, and I can go for the close combat here. Charizard's going to be fine. It's got enough HP to survive any charge move, and they have no shields remaining to hide behind, and I can let this first move go. Opponent's going to be going for the Behemoth Blade. You can see how much damage it does. It's like maybe half. We can go for the Air Cutter, but the opponent's able to fire off a charge move, and I'm like, all right, if you're going to play this out, I'm going to fully farm down the Zacian, especially now that they've thrown the close combat. The defense drop doesn't matter. I think those Dragon Breaths are still only doing 1 damage, but the immense amount of energy allows us to get to a Blast Burn and then some, and we are Blast Burning a Mega Rayquaza because I'm a little bit of bad manners today, but I'm having fun, and that's what matters. Good game, well played to this opponent. I love the Mega Rayquaza, dude. I just wish it was a little bit better. I really do. Zacian again in the next game. We're still sponsored by Zacian. Big Zacian Corporation is trying to get us here. I'm going to do a very similar thing as I did in the previous with the Palkia, except I'm not going to throw the Air Cutter. This time I'm just going to farm up some energy and then swap in to the Zacian before the opponent can get an Aqua Tail off on it. That's 9 Dragon Breaths if you're counting them. So you want to swap into that Zacian to catch that move. You could also go into the Dialga if you want to, but I feel like Dialga because like you need to come in immediately, and even if you don't, like it just doesn't feel like a good enough matchup. Aqua Tail does force a shield out of me here, but I'm going to go up to the double close combat, and this is kind of where I learned that maybe I shouldn't farm up the energy on Charizard, and I should just go straight to the Zacian to take this thing out, because it is a bit of a priority to get rid of this thing, I'm not going to lie. However, the extra energy that I have on my Charizard right now is going to really help me in a minute. The opponent not going to shield, they are going to get a full farm down here, but they're not looking at a lot of energy. The Charizard comes in, but now they just happen to be in air cutter range. However, now they go in for a Palkia. So I throw the air cutter here, and I'm going to go and farm up a little bit more energy and then go straight back to my Dialga. I'm hoping that I've left myself in a similar range to be able to take care of this Palkia, just like I did in the previous matchup. The opponent's going to throw the Spatial Rend here, and then I'm going to try to get this farm down, but the opponent's able to get to a move, and I'm thinking this is probably an Aqua Tail. I should be okay here. Opponent going to go for the move. It is just the Aqua Tail. Thankfully, we're able to farm down here, and the opponent has 2 shields, but we have Iron Heads and the ability to go back into our Charizard in not too distant future. If the opponent farms down, though, it's kind of risky. The opponent does get the energy. Now Charizard has to come in, but we can still live a move. We're going to go for the air cutter because they're just getting that low, man. And I'm hoping that they shield. It doesn't matter at this point because we can't just go for the double air cutter to get the knockout on the Zacian. I can even let this move go, and I do. Like, Behemoth Blade doesn't quite do it. Like, it does even less than half. Like 40, I think 45 it looks like. Anyway, gonna go for the air cutter, take out the Zacian, and Charizard emerges victorious in another game against that Zacian lead. Just because it's a Dragon Answer does not mean it can beat a Charizard. We get a 4-1 in the first set, and we're getting into the next one where Zacian is back again. The opponent going to drop in their Primal Groudon, and I'm kind of like, all right, how do I deal with this? Because I don't really have an answer for this. Now, the opponent's on Dragon Tail. I mistimed my charge move a bit here, unfortunately. But again, I do realize that I win this matchup, and so I'm going to look to try to leverage that information in a way that I can use. Maybe I can get some farm down at the end of this matchup and try to see if I can't get the Blast Burn loaded and into this Zacian at some point. Or maybe I can land a Behemoth Blade with my own Zacian. The opponent not going to shield here. They don't need to. And yes, again, I didn't know at this exact moment in time that I could just go straight air cutter. Excuse me. But you absolutely can. I'm going to be loading up a little bit of extra energy here, going for a move right about in the middle of their third, I think, Dragon Tail. We're going to be able to get the knockout here. We're down a shield, but if the opponent wants to come in with that Zacian, I mean, it did not have any energy, and they're going to have a bad time. The opponent's going to bring in a Palkia, and I'm going to swap into my Dialga. The opponent has a Zacian, and I'm going to have to just go for the Iron Head here and hope that I can make something happen. I have my own Zacian that I'm hoping that in the end game I'll be able to land a move against, but the opponent also probably knows here that they don't have to shield this. And so we're going to be able to get to another Iron Head before the opponent launches their energy at us. I'm expecting them to go for the back-to-back close combats and then throw. So they have a shield still. However, now they're in air cutter range, and we did have quite a bit of energy. Charizard, however, not looking so hot. I'm going to have to bring in my Zacian to absorb the energy off this opponent. They do throw right away, which means this is only ever going to be the close combat because I don't believe they can hold both moves back-to-back. The opponent comes in with their Palkia, and man, things have just turned in our favor, hopefully. We're going to be able to throw a close combat into the Palkia, potentially, and we're going to go for a little bit more of a fast move farm, but unfortunately the opponent has so much energy that they completely cut us off here. And at this point, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I lose, so good game to the opponent, though. Very well played. Really needed to be able to land that close combat. Unfortunately, not to be. And then the next matchup, not so great. We're going to have Primal Kyogre. I'm going to swap straight to my Dialga. The opponent, however, not swapping out. The Kyogre staying in to be going for some energy here. And I'm like, all right, this is fine with me. Zacian's not particularly happy to see this. Charizard doesn't want to see it, but the opponent's going to stay in. And they're going to go for a Surf and get some chip damage before bringing in their own Dialga. Perhaps they have a something in the back that doesn't prefer to see Dialga as well as their own Dialga. So I would actually not be surprised here. They had like Palkia or something in the back as well. I'm going to be shielding up this move because I have a lot of energy, and I'd like to see if I can get all shields down, as Zacian's going to function a lot better against that Kyogre if I can do that. Opponent's going to shield the Roar of Time, and I'm very fine with getting this farm down, or letting them have this farm down, I should say. And Dialga can come in and absorb, or not, Dialga's going to throw energy into the, goodness gracious, dude. I had it, but I had it backwards in my head. I said Zacian can come in to absorb Dialga's energy. There's a sentence that was formulating in my brain. We're going to go straight for the close combat, dude. I'm not messing around. I want to fire this off immediately. I don't want to let them get to another Iron Head. I don't want anything. I just want clap cheeks, get out of here. And there's a Tapu Bulu in the back. So I'm going to go, I'm going to farm up to 6. Swap, catch the charge move, as no matter what, they're going to have resisted energy here. Charizard's just luring back out the Kyogre. I have a shield, and I intend to use it just for my Zacian. We're going to be looking to go for this air cutter, do a little bit of chip damage, and hopefully bring this thing down into close combat range. I'm going to go for one more Metal Claw before I launch this move off. I hope this is enough. And it is. The close combat does enough, and we're going to be able to go for a move into this Tapu Bulu, and just because I have to, I'm going to go for the Behemoth Blade, but the opponent concedes because they didn't want to get clapped. Good game. I wanted to do the clapping. They're running Tapu Bulu, like they are specifically saying, get your Palkia off my screen. Another Zacian, another Palkia, another air cutter being thrown here. Gonna do the exact same thing because it's worked for me every time, and it actually puts me in a really favorable position in these games because it allows me to keep Dialga away from the Zacian and also utilize my energy in a way that helps Charizard, because really what happens here is that when they, bring in this Palkia, not only am I going to be able to get rid of this thing, I'm going to have a lot of energy as well. And however, in this situation, because the opponent shielded the air cutter, I'm finding myself in a weird spot where I really have to throw energy in order to get rid of this thing. I do go for the Iron Head, the opponent not willing to shield. No Iron Head for me against the opponent's Zacian. Being up a shield here is really nice because we can always just tank a move. I'm going to shield up this Behemoth Blade though, just in case, because I feel like there's a chance that Charizard might be helpful if they're staying in. And they just bring in a Mega Gyarados, and we have Zacian for that. And we are totally fine here. The opponent is going to be looking to load up on a lot of energy here. Go for an Aqua Tail, most likely, as everything else it has is resisted. Aqua Tail does need 3 to knock out, so I'm never going to throw my close combats until I have close to 2 or 2, depending. Aqua Tail number 2 is going to do a lot, and I'm going to be going for this close combat. We have the back-to-back. The opponent shouldn't be able to swap out yet, if I'm not mistaken. The close combat, however, is going to rock the Gyarados, and the opponent's going to bring back in their Zacian. Zacian's going to have to shield this, so they're going to be within air cutter range. The opponent, no shields. They're in air cutter range, and we have 2 of them, and I'm going to even go for the Blast Burn at this point, because I just love landing Blast Burns. Dude, I'm using Charizard in the Master League. It's like contractual obligation. We have to launch Blast Burns whenever the opportunity presents itself, and so we do. And I realize I haven't been hitting the button enough, but good game. A lot of these have been wars of attrition more so than things landing one-shots, but Charizard up against a Ho-Oh in the next game. Oh no. That's going to be me going for some charge move. Going to be me going for some fast move farm here, looking to try and swap and catch the Brave Bird, but the opponent says, no, trainer, you're going to catch these hands, and they're going to send a Sacred Fire right at my face. I'm going to let this, no, I'm going to shield this. I let one of them go. Maybe it wasn't this one. Opponent's going to get the attack drop on us, though, unfortunately, and then bring in Florges, and this is actually where I find out that 2 debuffed Iron Heads is just barely enough to cover the Florges' HP, and so if they decide not to shield here, they actually are going to lose Switch, which, I mean, I'm personally going to be fine with. So the opponent is going to be going for a Moonblast. I'll farm up just a little bit extra and go for an Iron Head, hoping the opponent might try to go for a shield here. They decide to let it go. We're able to take it out. Ho-Oh's going to come in, and I mean, Switch isn't exactly the most helpful thing, but if Dialga can get to a Roar of Time and be able to knock this thing out, I'm happy enough with that. Roar of Time connects. The opponent not shielding. They're saving 2 shields for Mega Gyarados, and trainer, guess what we have for you? We have a Zacian, but the opponent has a 2 shield to 1 shield advantage, and so they're in a really nice spot here to be able to whittle away at my HP bars with these Aqua Tails, because they reach them very quickly. Every 9 Dragon Breaths for an Aqua Tail. Wild, dude. I'm going to be going for the close combat when I get to the back-to-back, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the move and swap immediately out to Charizard, because the opponent knows that I'm debuffed. They're probably going to try to CMP me after I debuff myself, so I'm going to opt for the choice that makes it so I don't have to shield. I'm going to go for some air cutter damage here, hoping that maybe 2 moves will be enough to knock out the Gyarados. I have a close combat still. If I can just get that final shield off of them, I'm looking pretty good. I'm going to be going for the Blast Burn. It will do slightly more damage than a air cutter would, and we're going to be able to take the game because Gyarados goes down to a Charizard. Charizard is a water counter confirmed. Charizard up against another Zacian in this final game of the second set here. We're doing pretty good for ourselves. Opponent's going to bring in the Palkia, and would you look at that? We're going to do the same thing again, except this time if the opponent does shield, which I'm now wary of, I'm going to have to adjust my strategy a little bit. Air Cutter's going to connect, though, and that means I can come straight in with the Olga and look to start farming down. The opponent never going to be able to get the 2 Spatial Rens with this exact combination of plays here, so we're going to be able to take a Spatial Ren and take an Aqua Tail if the opponent gets to one, which they do, and that's fine. I want to just be able to toss my Iron Heads into the Zacian here and get them down within Air Cutter range. And this is also a really nice spot for me to just get one move off if I have to and just let them get very little farm. That's why when they throw the Aqua Tail, it's much nicer because the Zacian doesn't really get enough energy to go for a move that would really do a lot of damage to Charizard. They're going to get some energy for sure, and we're barely able to get to the Iron Head. Lucky us, we're going to be able to knock this thing down a peg, and the opponent's going to let this go. They're having a very bad time against this Dialga. Opponent's going to be looking to go for a charge move, and Charizard does not need to respect this damage. They're going to go for the Behemoth Blade, and we're going to save our 2 shields. The opponent has a Gyarados in the back, and I'm like, oh no, this is not what I wanted to see. But Zacian is not staring at a Mega Gyarados. Perhaps, I don't know if the opponent maybe forgot to Mega their Gyarados. I'm not sure. They definitely had the Mons for it. I think that was an unfortunate case if they forgot to Mega their Gyarados before the game. But even if it was Mega Gyarados, Zacian would have been able to take that game for us. And some seriously solid elo on this first team here. Plus 80 points, and that was part of like a plus 165 point day. And I just wanted to feature the Mega Master League teams that took me there because I felt really good about this meta. I think this is what the Master League should be on a regular basis. You know, Zacian is no longer the top dog. It is now surrounded by a whole mess of other things that can compete with it just as well. And the power creep suddenly levels out as all the Megas are competing against each other. It's just fantastic, man. I'm so glad they fixed this format because it is truly the best version of Master League, and you will not get me to budge on that. I think it's true. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what your favorite version of Charizard is, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you as always. Bye.